the new breed of entrepreneurs. So when we talk about inventing future, we are often focused on the products and services that will be relevant going forward. But then we must also think of those who will inhabit the future as well. Who are we building, inventing it all for? Who will be the inheritors of your innovations? Your resources. So, well, a new generation is already in action, and a new breed of entrepreneurs is forging ahead on many fronts and inventing a new world. So let's meet them. So to begin, I would like to invite Pawan Deshpande, who is the CEO of Curator, and he is the moderator of this panel, Pawan. And Pawan is a graduate of MIT. He got his undergraduate and graduate degrees in computer science from MIT. And Curator is an easy-to-use marketing solution for content curation and content marketing. Pawan was named to Boston Business Journal's 40 under 40 list of influential business leaders in 2010. So Pawan will welcome Pawan.
Thank you, everyone. Just want to invite the panelists to take the seats here. So to the right of me is Shakeel. Shakeel is a friend of mine, also MIT alumni. He grew up on the West Coast in Silicon Valley, moved to the Boston area, went to MIT and has a degree in material science. He worked with Professor Yet-Ming Chang, who's one of the co-founders of A123 Systems. He also worked at Lux Research along the way, so he knows the clean tech space well. He founded Levant Power in 2009, and he'll tell you a lot about that. He's an avid tabla player. He's done research on the physics of drumming on the side, and in 2009 he was named the Innovator of the Year by the Entrepreneurs Organization. Next we have Varun Ganapathi. Varun did the opposite. He grew up in the East Coast. He grew up in the Boston area, moved out to the West Coast for his college. He went to Stanford and stuck around for his PhD. And he worked with Professor Andrew Ng, who's pretty well known. One of the things he did was autonomous robots. So we talked about flying cars. These are can fly themselves. They teach themselves how to stabilize themselves through reinforcement learning. So runs specializations in machine learning, and he's worked on a number of other algorithms with Sebastian Thrun, who I think worked on Google's self-driving car, right? Mm-hmm. And Varun specifically worked on algorithms for recovering the shape and pose of humans in real time. So he started a company called Numovis while he's still in his PhD, and that was subsequently acquired by Google. So he's currently a research scientist at Google. And on the side, he has another project, which is a company called iApps. And he has a very popular application called Pro HDR. So you can take these HDR photographs very easily without any special equipment. You can download it now and try it out. And then all the way on the right there, we have Jay. And Jay, he grew up in India, came to the US for his undergrad, studied at Tufts in computer science. He was formerly at Compete, Lookery, and he started his own company, Shareaholic. It started as a side project and now has grown to a pretty widely used and widely trafficked technology. So he'll tell you more about that. On the side, he founded PopSignal. It's one of Boston's largest networking groups. I've been to several of their events before. He was named to this year's Technology Review, 35 people under 35 for India. And he was also a fellow in TiE's leadership program in the past. So let's just give a quick welcome to our panel here. Okay, gentlemen, so the first question I'm going to ask you is, imagine your grandmother is in the audience. She's way back there in the third row. I want each of you to give a 30-second description of what your company does to your grandmother so she can understand it. So Jay, we'll start with you.
So we make a product that my grandmother would probably not use. But in essence, what we do is we create awesome tools for publishers. And by publishers, what I mean is anyone who has a website. And what the tools do is help publishers drive more engagement and traffic to their sites. So think about sharing buttons or recommended recommended content plugins, anything that a website owner will need to drive engagement and traffic, we build those tools.
And you had some interesting statistics on, you were telling me
yeah,
earlier.
absolutely. So over 200,000 publishers use our tools, and every single month we reach over 250 million unique visitors. And the real business is, so we provide these tools for free to publishers. What we get in return is a lot of data. What are people viewing, what people are sharing, who's influential in what. And on the back end, we make that available to advertisers. So think about a Procter & Gamble comes to us and says they want to reach women who are influential in food and wine. We find those audiences for them and connect them to who they want to reach.
Great. All right, you're next.
All right. Okay, so I guess I did 2 companies. The first company basically built technology for recognizing gestures from cameras. So the idea is that, you know, computers aren't really aware of us. They just sort of sit there and we have to type on them or use our mouse. The idea was to do something better where the computer could perceive us and like react to our behavior intelligently. The other company, which he described already, Pro HDR, I guess, Grandma, it would make you able to take much better pictures. Like if you're on a mountain and you're taking a picture of a sunset, if you want, you know, if you have people in front of the sunset, you want to see their faces and you want to see the sunset. So it lets you do both, like take a picture that captures both of those at the same time. So that's the purpose.
I'm Shakeel Avadhany. I'm the CEO of Levant Power. I guess my granny would use my product out in India. On passenger cars, the system has been developed to basically be a self-powered active suspension, which means in India, you basically wouldn't feel a pothole in the road. So I'm sure she would enjoy that.
Go through the process. How did you know that starting a company was the right thing to do, and a right thing at that time versus staying where you were? You know, Jay, let's start with you again. You know, you were at Compete, you know, a hot company at the time. You're at Lookery, another you know, up and coming startup. How did you know that this side project, Shareaholic, that you started?
Absolutely.
Can you talk about, you know, how's the side project, and how did you know that this side project should become your full-time job?
So, I mean, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to start my own company. And it was just a matter of when was the right time. And so when I graduated Tufts, I actually took part in the business plan competition that Tufts organizes every year. We got placed. We could have gone and started a company right there and there. But the advice that I got was, go work for someone, kind of learn the ropes, and then when you're ready, go start your company. That's what I did. And when I was at Compete, you know, I was always the kind of person who would have side projects. And you know, some of the side projects didn't go anywhere. Shareaholic was an idea that I was really scratching my own itch when I was at Compete. Build this product, and just let it go. And within 18 months, it had 1 million downloads. So the turning point for me was really traction and the market saying that there are 1 million people who wanted to use this product. It's like, I would have been stupid not to go and do it, essentially, and that was the point.
Varun, how about you? You know, you were in school, I think, in the PhD program. You didn't go and work somewhere else and then start your company. You did, while you're still in school, you still haven't finished your PhD, if I have it right. So why did you decide to you know, go and start a company while you're still in school?
Yeah, it's almost completely accurate. I actually was working at Google in 2004, 2005. And I remember they wanted me to join right away, and I said, actually, no, I'm going to, you know, I already missed the IPO time, so I said, you know, instead I'll go do a PhD, start a company, and sell it to Google instead. That would be a much better way to join a company. So that's what happened. It was basically my plan. Pro HDR was a side project completely. And I guess I've just always, like, as you can tell, I've always wanted to start a company, so it's just all about, I mean, just as soon as I come up with an idea, I want to start another company. So that's basically how it works.
Shakeel, you know, you incorporated a company, if I have it right, 6 months before you graduated. So you know, you'd already got it in motion before you. So, 2 questions. 1, you know, how do you decide out of school is the right time? And 2, why didn't you drop out and start your company?
Yeah, so for me, I grew up in Silicon Valley, so I was, you know, part of the TiECON West group. And, I came out, dream school was MIT, so I got out here, and I kind of brought the Silicon Valley bug with me to Boston. And I was really, I'll tell you, I was just real restless at school because I really didn't know the kind of problems that I wanted to solve with the education I was getting at MIT. And so, by sophomore year, I had actually pulled away, and I joined Lux Research for a summer. So I don't know if Matt Norton's here. I think I saw him earlier. Yeah, he was here a few minutes, yeah. So I joined, Matt Norton was one of the founders of Lux. I joined Lux. It's a market intelligence company, and they do a really good job at that. They evaluate emerging technologies, emerging markets, new ideas, and applying it to problems that need to be desperately solved. And I just kind of had a vantage point of industry, and this was kind of my mentality. Okay, I'm a materials engineer. Where can I apply and focus my engineering skills to solve problems that excited me? I always loved cars, always working on cars. And working with Professor Chang, I really saw the transition from handheld power tools into the automotive industry. And I wanted to participate in some shape or form. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. To try to actually build an automotive technology and sell it to companies like General Motors and Ford. But it was just kind of that hunger that drove me. I was just driving over a bumpy road one day, and it occurred to me, hey, could I create a suspension system that pumps power from bumps in the road? And over the years it evolved when we started putting hardware in front of customers. We just pressed our ear to the ground and really heard what do these guys want? What are they willing to pay for? What's going to sell more cars? How am I going to help this customer do what they want to do, right? And so, in that process, basically, we were rolling with a lot of momentum. The story of Levant's founding, basically, is, we'd participated in this MIT competition called MadMech, and it got some attention. Ned Thomas, who was the dean of the materials engineering department at the time, made an introduction to AM General. 2 weeks later, I got a call from the CEO of AM General, Paul Kern, and he said, young man, I see you've got a fairly compelling idea. I'd like to evaluate it for the AM General Humvee. As you may know, there's a big contract down the pipeline to replace the existing fleet of Humvees with a new truck. We'd like to see how Genshaw can do something meaningful for our truck in ride control and fuel economy. 2 weeks after that phone call, I received an H1 Hummer on a flatbed truck to my dorm room. And that got the company started. So.
All three of you are young. All three of you are technical. I think Mark Zuckerberg would like all three of you. Do you think that younger entrepreneurs have an advantage starting a company at an early age because their lives are so simple and they can really focus on their companies? Or do you think that they're at a disadvantage because they don't have experience?
I think it's a huge advantage. Just from the perspective of we can take greater risks. At least, that's my perspective. Like, personally, not got too much to lose, just go do it. I think I don't want to speak for everyone else, but personally, we're in it for we have an extremely big vision, and we're not afraid of things coming in the way. We think everything's possible, and we're going to do it.
So I think youth is mostly in your mind. I don't think it's about just like your actual physical age is probably, it's correlated with what your mindset is, but as long as I think what youth brings is you have nothing to lose, but you could have, when you're older, you actually have more savings, so you actually have, you can actually more securely have nothing to lose, right? Like a lot of young people, they need a job in order to live day to day, whereas someone older probably doesn't. So I think it's mostly about mindset of not being, just being enthusiastic, being excited, and just not being tired and jaded. Like when you're older, some people who are younger even are like this, but just being really enthusiastic and believing anything is possible and just being excited to do something hard. But I don't know. I don't think the physical age matters that much. It's mostly mindset.
Yeah, I could agree more. Just not being tired and not being jaded. And it just, the naivety really helps too, and that just comes from being young. I don't really buy what Mark said about just hiring young people. Especially for our industry, for certain industries maybe, But I like for our industry, I mean, automotive trucking, like, you know, to build a product that can go on the 5 Series, 250,000 5 Series a year, and if somebody at BMW specs something wrong and it malfunctions, you know, 6 months into the deployment of that car, that's a lot of cars to recall. That's a big mistake. And having people that really know what they're doing in my industry is a very important thing. So, I mean, I think industry to industry, it varies. But, you know, as far as the entrepreneurial mindset is concerned, I mean, we always, you know, we go through like 50 to 100, you know, interviews per seat in Levant. And we usually always look for people that, you know, have entrepreneurial skills, even if that doesn't mean they haven't started a company. I mean, guys, for example, on race teams, you know, they know how to get things done under the gun, get things done, you know, when need be. But yeah, the naivety and the ability to work long hours, I mean, that's part of the, you know, youthful mindset, and, you know, I don't think it's, you know, respective only to age.
Could I add one last thing?
Sure.
It's possible he just wanted to hire cheap people, so like younger people are. Like if you need a.
You know, there is a disadvantage to being young. You know, you don't have a lot of experience under your belt, and experience does matter. It you know, adds wisdom, and you don't make the same mistake twice, hopefully. So how do you guys compensate for that, given that you don't have a lot of experience under your belt?
Mentors and advisors.
Yeah.
So have a great set of folks around you who you can depend on, and ask questions and really open up to them when needed.
Yeah, totally. I think having good advisors is really important. I think also just make the mistakes very quickly and learn from them very quickly. Just if you can repeat the process fast enough, that's the only way to get wisdom quickly. That's all.
So next question about intellectual property. You know, all three of you kind of started your thing while you're employed elsewhere. How does the economy affect you? Does it affect you in any way? Can you tell? Or are there other macro trends that you feel are kind of in play, either in a positive way or negative way?
You know, some of the greatest American companies were founded in the heart of the recession, right? I think, I don't know. You know, CNN, I think, was founded in a recession. Actually, I don't want to incriminate myself and give you, false information. I actually think that when you're in a recession, you've got these big customers that have got problems on their hands. Those problems actually become much more desperate to solve. And as was in the case for us, in fuel economy across fleets, you just get a much, many more ears in the room.
What about, the automotive industry, GM almost going under and all that, has that impacted you in any way?
I mean, yeah, you just can't have too many marbles in one bag, and that's what we've learned. Yeah, I mean, the recessions, in my experience, they basically have got more ears in the room, especially if you have, you're addressing a problem that is meaningful to them.
I think it's a tough question you asked, because on each business it depends very importantly, right? Like any given macro trend can affect a given business in both ways. Like he just gave an example. Information technology has just been always going up. I mean, there was a bust for a little while, but that actually turned out to be useful because it was easier to get talent because the employees couldn't find other places to work, so they were suddenly cheaper. On the other hand, when it's a good economy, then there are just many more customers. Like for instance, in the mobile phone market, there are just many people buying apps and people are buying new smartphones. So then that's like a rising tide that lifts everyone. So I guess I just made a story for it being good in both cases, but I'm not I don't know, depends on the situation.
Building an app is one thing, but actually getting it out there among the sea of possible things that people can do and use online is another thing. How did you get the ball rolling?
So I don't have it'll be more interesting for him, I think. For me, the App Store is great because I think the existence of things like Shareaholic and Facebook and other ways for people to share information means that a good product will be discovered extremely quickly. Like as long as you put it out there, like for us, we put it on the App Store. Basically, it was just on the What's New section, and then instantly, someone found it. People started writing blog posts about it. Some people wrote articles about it, and then all of a sudden, that's how I think it was just word of mouth through all these other networks about our app, and I think that
But the key was getting on the What's New?
the What's New is actually, it's automatic. You just, if you upload your app, all the new apps of any given week appear in the What's New section. So marketing, okay, we did do one thing. We emailed all of the magazine or like blog writers about digital photography, told them about our app, and gave them promo codes saying you could just download it for free. And I think that was really useful because if one thing I've noticed that if someone writes a blog about something, like that gets immediately a ton of usage like right away. So I think that's really important.
Also fundamentally, well, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit is you need to build a great product. So it's easy to get someone to use something once, but to get someone to use it every single day, the product needs to be great. So first and foremost, we spend a lot of time making sure the product is awesome. And two, for us, it was also the App Store. So Mozilla, Google, WordPress, you name the platform, they all have app stores. And it's really a matter of getting premium placement in those app stores. So in our case, our first product was a browser extension for Firefox. And just about the time we had developed that plugin, Mozilla had organized, the makers of Firefox had organized a contest for the best plugin for Firefox. Just for the heck of it, sent it in, and 3 weeks later got a phone call from Mozilla saying that we had won the grand prize, or the plugin had won the grand prize for being the best plugin for Firefox. What that led to, from an App Store perspective, was they started promoting us everywhere. So in their directory, to the Get Started page for Firefox, you name it. And that really was our starting point. So we really leveraged the platform provider and really letting them promote us, because end of the day, if you really think about it, they're dependent on developers to create awesome products for their platform to be successful. So they'll go out of their way to make sure the developers are successful. So if they find someone who's developing a great product that a lot of people want to use, they'll usually go out of their way to promote it.
What more could your respective communities do to help? What can people in the audience here, people outside of this room here do to help entrepreneurship, especially from the younger crowd?
So, I think they're already doing this, but like Y Combinator, for example, like is out of MIT, basically making it really easy for young entrepreneurs to have housing, like take care of all, like young entrepreneurs need like a mom sort of situation where all the basic necessities are taken care of. So you just sort of like, you can just like focus on your computer and working or whatever, or your lab. So I guess you want to create like it's like college. You want to just like, they're used to college, right? So you want something like right after that where it's, everything's taken care of and you can just focus on just the task before you. I think that's really helpful. Second thing is try to, West Coast does this, is basically, and it's kind of weird and maybe it's a bubble, I don't know, but just not worry so much about immediately how to monetize, but just allow revenue, like realize that like opportunities will arise to figure out how to monetize things. Like Google, for instance, didn't make money for the first couple of years, right? And they figured out how to monetize it. So try to like see, is there really, like figure out, like there's something other than just money that's value, and like see if that, and then money can come from that indirectly through some other means.
So my point of view would be just, as young entrepreneurs, we look for role models and folks who can advise us as we're building our companies. And 7-8 years ago, there weren't that many mentors around. I think, that's my personal view, but didn't see too many people involved with the community like 6-7 years ago. That's changed a lot over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's clearly visible. Just keep doing more of that because we need you.
Yeah, amen.
Okay.